Welcome back, guys, to Haywire RC. It's been way too long. It's about time I give you an update on the trophy truck. And here's what I got for you right now. Definitely, things have changed. If you haven't seen the last video, I recommend you check that out after this video. Anyway, I'll show you what's been going on. So I've been working on this a lot lately. As you know from last video, I made the base plate, and now the base plate is bolted and welded into the chassis. And on the base plate, I machined the engine mounts to fit on it. My radio box, which is super sketchy, but it works. Then the transmission, also drilled a hole for the exhaust to vent out. Got my servos, I did the linkages. Those are looking pretty good. All right, guys, do a servo test. And today, what I did, I ended up putting the gas tank in. I tacked it in. This is just a rough look of how it's going to be. I'm going to try to clean it up a little better. As you can see, those are SIP dies. But I got a fuel line mount right there, and I got one connected right to my radio box. And picking this thing up, it's already weighing 9 pounds, and that's without the suspension, which is probably another 2 pounds. Which I got the rear axle right here. This thing's heavy. All aluminum. There's not a single bit of plastic just besides the linkage things. Just for those to break away and replace. I'll be probably replacing those a lot. Front suspension. I have RPM Jado arms. Those are due for now. I might upgrade to some aluminum ones if I can find them. Preferably, I just want to, aluminum, no anodizing. They're all anodized right now. I don't really want that look. I'm sure pleased with how everything's coming out. It's a little sketchy around here, but I'm making progress, don't worry. Also made this little cover for the servo. I've yet to weld it in because actually I screwed up. All around the chassis I used square nuts and bolted it to the plate, which that's what I was going to do the same with the paneling. But these square nuts I ordered, the smaller ones, you can see they're a lot smaller. It turned out that they're aluminum. Yep, shame on me. I should have read the description. I'll keep them anyway. You never know. Down the road I might do an aluminum chassis. So here's the fuel lines mocked up. I'm going to be putting on my little spring to go over it like the LST. Here's what I've been talking about. One, they look cool, and two, they actually protect the fuel line from, debris, so it's really nice. I'll also be putting on these fuel fittings too, which I really like. Definitely pretty it up, make it pop. Go ahead, show you the base plate. The base plate's almost complete. I just gotta drill the hole out for the exhaust. Here's what it looks like underneath. I got all the bolts in for this frame, and then some more bolts for the motor mount, transmission, and servos. The aluminum's 3/16 thick, so there should be no issue with it bending at all. It's not that heavy too when I pick it all up. Really isn't. This will be most of the weight on the truck, besides the frame and the rear axle. The truck will still be heavy, and I'm really testing out those really tiny brakes. The rear brakes too. I got no front brakes on this. I'm going to leave the square nuts in and tack them in. And then after I tack them in, I'll take the plate off and then finish the weld. And then I'll make sure it's strong and these little nuts don't break off while I'm driving. Here. Alright guys, so as you can see, I put the engine and everything back on the plate. And as you saw earlier, I tacked in all the nuts. Yeah, but everything fits great. This thing is actually really heavy. I'd say about 10 pounds already. Maybe even a little more. So here's underneath the plate. The plate's not completely done. I just got to drill one hole, like right here, for the exhaust to just empty out. The bolts attached to the frame are all countersunk. Then I have these little bolts right here to hold on all the accessories and the engine and the transmission. Yeah guys, so that's what everything looks like inside there. Pretty jam-packed. But next I'll be taking out the plate, just drilling out that hole for the exhaust so the exhaust can empty out. Throw the body on it. magnetic body. That thing fits in there great. Yeah, it just looks so sweet. Alright guys, so here's the base plate right here. I've done a decent job with the hole. You can see it is not a circle. That's pretty bad. The tools I'm working with aren't really the right tools. I don't know why I haven't bought a new Dremel. I have this massive thing laying around, which, yeah, good luck trying to control it with this thing. Also, the power's like crazy on this. I do have my Dremel attachments, but this is all I got. I should have ran to the store before this. This is all I was working with. It was pretty bad. But I was able to clean it up pretty good. This is the best I could clean it up. I have this file right here. We all make mistakes. It's not pretty looking, but I'm happy with how it's gonna come out. All right, guys. So here's the plate. I did an all right job. I mean, it could be a little better, but it works. Guess that's all that matters, right? So the plate's looking real good. I cleaned it up, put the hole through for the exhaust. Obviously, I screwed it up. I probably won't ever stop talking about that, but mistakes happen. Also got this cover I made. Just go right over the servo, block dirt out of it. Yeah, guys, so I tuned up the linkages. Working really good. And that's what it looks like when it's on there. I'll be doing the same thing like I did to the frame with all the panels. I got little square nuts, tack them to the frame, then screw them in, some screws. Alright guys, so here's what's next. Got the gas tank, got the hardware on it. And I'm just going to go ahead, put it right in the rear, as you saw. And the gas tank's just going to go right in the rear, just around there. Already marked where I'm going to be putting my square nuts to weld them. Go in just like that. And then the fuel line will run right up to the carburetor, which is right in there. I think it'll look pretty cool. Bam! Check that out, guys. So I got the tank tacked in there. I didn't fully weld the square nuts in, but I did the same thing like I did with the front, just to get them welded in and in there. But I'm really liking the look of the tank. The tires fit in there really good. I actually got plenty of room so I can run different widths of tires. Then also routed the fuel line up. I got my little fuel line mounts. Take off the body, you can check them out. That's how everything looks. I gotta pick up some fuel line because I don't have enough to reach the exhaust. It's gonna be a very long line. This thing is looking sweet, guys. Now that the tank's in there, I'm really, this thing's getting closer and closer. And I said in the last video, I think by the spring, it'll be done, but spring right now. Which now, I'm gonna probably change that deadline to the summer. But I am really close. The rest is just smooth sailing from here. Just cleaning up the cage, making a front bumper, and then attaching my front wheels, and then attaching my rear axle after. The fuel line routing isn't final. It's just to where I think everything will be, because the trucks will be around this area. It'll be getting pretty close to the fuel line. I might actually have to run it around the exhaust. So this is what I got for now with the fuel line. Looks pretty good. Hopefully I built this thing tough enough to withstand everything. I've been debating on actually how hard I'm going to be bashing this thing. Initially, with the metal cage and how I built it, I really built it to, send it even harder than the LST, if you can even believe that happening. Yeah, guys, so the truck's coming along. And next, I'll be doing the suspension, so stay tuned for that. Might be a little bit of a challenge, especially because I got the pull starter right here. I might actually make a mount so the pull starter is away from the shocks, because both shocks will be, in these corners. So this pull starter will be definitely interfering with that shock. But my little sand tires, they fit nicely. I can make some strap mounts to strap those in next to the tank. They also protect the tank too, because actually I noticed if I flip, I might scratch up the cap a little bit. Who knows, maybe even crack it. Let's cross our fingers on that. It's coming out good, guys. Stay tuned for the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.